Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some consequences for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Posted to Consequences by JSMK. I really gotta get taglines on my subreddit. Cross-posted from r/bestof. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Droogie Boogie 42, posted to r/entitled parents, March 17th, 2023. Entitled Stepmother got herself banned from my wedding. Trigger warning for mention of child abuse. It's not too graphic, but it's there. I tried posting this on Am I the Asshole through a different account a couple days ago, but it didn't work out. Given the trigger warning, I'm not surprised. I have since concluded my wife and I did the right thing, so this will be my last attempt to post the story. I tried to add some info and change the wording a little. All names are fake. My 28 male, stepmother, 49 female, is a wannabe party planner. She's taken it upon herself to plan and host every party and holiday my dad's family has thrown since she married him. I never loved those occasions growing up. She's controlling and gets upset if people complain about anything, but humored her, for my dad's sake. According to him, this helps her feel included. I'm getting married to my fiancée Jane, 26 female, in July. We got engaged in early 2021, but Jane ended up getting pregnant a couple months after that, and we decided to postpone the wedding to focus on our son for a while. So, we've had a long engagement. My stepmother has tried to hijack our wedding plans from day one, complaining, contacting our planner, showing up unannounced to Jane's dress appointments, etc. And we have repeatedly asked her to stop. Dad wants us to humor her, but she's clearly resentful of the fact that she's not hosting the wedding or being labeled mother of the groom in invitations. Besides our baby boy, we also have Luke, 4 male, Jane's paternal half-brother. She got custody of him a few months into our relationship, after his parents died. I ended up moving in with them during the pandemic and have been in Luke's life since he was a baby. He doesn't call me dad and refers to us as his sister and his OP. But we love him like a son. Stepmother, though, hates Luke. She accuses Jane of baby-trapping her way into the family. That accusation only got worse after our son was born. My dad gets along with Jane and adores the kids, but stepmother demands him to refuse babysitting Luke, so we don't leave the kids with them often. Instead, Jane's brother and sister-in-law usually watch the kids for us, as their children are close to ours in age. We had a thing last Sunday and my brother-in-law was out of town with his family. Jane's other siblings live in different cities, as well as my mom and sister. My dad agreed to babysit at our place, and we left. We came back to find both kids crying, stepmother screaming, and dad weakly trying to calm everyone down. Apparently, Luke had told stepmother that both he and our son were going to be our ring bearers. And she went ballistic. She screamed that she wasn't going to allow that because he wasn't family. She then made me need to include the trigger warning. When he started crying, his lip is still split. She'd never gotten to this point before. We immediately banned her from our house and from our wedding. Dad is fuming and says he's not going without her. He's also convinced half of his side of the family, by severely downplaying what stepmother did, to boycott the wedding as well. This includes my stepbrother, who fully agrees with his mother no matter how many times I try to tell him the truth. Me and Jane are refusing to budge, but many of my cousins who aren't coming anymore are asking us to reconsider. Pretty much all of Jane's family agrees with us, but one of her aunts has suggested that maybe stepmother is acting out because she doesn't feel welcome by my family. I've honestly had it with my family enabling her behavior. I love my dad and really want him at my wedding, but I am more than willing to go no contact if it means protecting my family. For those of you wondering, in case you didn't quite catch on to the hush-hush language of OP, the stepmother struck the 4-year-old and caused his lip to be split. Edit. I think I accidentally deleted the paragraph where I mentioned this, but we did press charges. We took Luke to the pediatrician the next day and gathered every piece of evidence we had. Not only did we have pictures of Luke's face, but by some miraculous stroke of luck, we also had nanny cam footage. Some commenters are right to assume that my stepmother hadn't been invited to our house, but my dad hasn't really gone anywhere without her in years. So we took precautions. We didn't expect her to actually do anything this awful, but we've never trusted her with the kids. The physical attack happened off camera, but there is some footage of her screaming and Luke crying before and after the event. She now has a child abuse charge on her rap sheet. We wouldn't let her get away with this. Edit 2. There is a lot of additional info I want to add. I'll try to respond to at least some of the comments. I did not expect the amount I've gotten so far, but all I'll add for now is that Luke is okay. The visit to the pediatrician happened the day after. He already had a counselor. Jane was pretty traumatized when her dad and stepmom died and was worried it would rub off on them, and will continue treatment. We've been hugging and pampering him a little more than usual too. He's still upset, but is already doing much better. Honestly, before we get to the update, if I was in OP's position, any family member that would agree to the boycott, I would just message them like, hey, it really breaks my heart that you're siding with someone who would strike a 4-year-old that I wouldn't want at my wedding. But hey, if that's the route you want to take, so be it. Just know that your team abusing 4-year-olds. I don't care how uncomfortable it makes them, but I would make them very well aware of what they're siding with. Update 1, March 22nd, 2023, 5 days later. I wanted to thank everyone who took the time to read and/or comment on my previous post. It's been a tough week, but it's also great to know that people care. I haven't been able to reply to every comment, but I will try to address some in this update. This might get a little long. I'll start off by saying that me and Jan are going no contact with my dad and stepmother. We haven't really spoken to either of them since the incident, and I don't plan on being the one to reach out. Any communication between us is being handled by my younger sister. She's completely on our side, but will remain low contact for the time being. I've decided to adopt Jane's way of dealing with people she cares about. Forgive what's apologized for, but never forget. Basically, if dad or stepmother ever truly understand what they did wrong and sincerely apologize, we're willing to forgive them, even if begrudgingly so. But we will never ignore or let them forget what they did to our family. And for the time being, neither of them will be allowed near Luke, our baby, and any other kids we may have in the future, even if we do forgive them. As for the rest of my family, I read a lot of comments suggesting I post pictures of Luke's face, as well as the nanny cam footage. I'm not very active on social media, but even if I was, I'm not comfortable exposing my injured preschooler like that, especially given that nothing on the internet ever truly goes away. I also decided not to share the pictures with my family unless truly necessary. I should probably mention that while my family adores my dad, most of them aren't very fond of stepmother. She had 2 failed marriages prior to meeting my father, the first of which resulted in my stepbrother, and he cheated on his then girlfriend to be with her. My family loved that girlfriend and disliked stepmother right away. Not only has she been controlling and manipulative since the beginning, she's also tried to force her way into the family matriarch role by any means possible. Taking over planning duties for every family event was her favorite way to do it, because of all the attention and compliments that come with it. The main reason why I hated these parties growing up was because she'd always find a way to make everything about her, including Christmas and mine and my sister's birthdays. The rest of the family felt neutral about it, but they never liked her. With Luke, it was different. Most of my relatives didn't meet him until COVID restrictions got looser, and by then, he was 2 years old. He's a bright and genuinely lovable kid, and there weren't really any other small children in the family, so everyone immediately started cooing over him. The way I see it, stepmother got upset that Jane and Luke were accepted by the family so easily compared to her experience, and that's why she resents them both. But I can't confirm that. She was also mad that aside from not being the planner, she would have absolutely no involvement in the wedding party. She tried to pressure us into letting her officiate. One of Jane's best friends was offered that role a year ago. Making stepbrother my best man, he wasn't interested and I'd already gotten my best friend. Or asking her sister's daughter to be our flower girl. We'd promised Jane's 3-year-old niece. Also, her sister's daughter is 15 and doesn't know us. She also tried to convince us to let my dad walk Jane down the aisle since her father's gone. But her eldest brother, the brother-in-law I mentioned in the first post, had already been enlisted. Stepmother was disappointed that my family wasn't as involved in the wedding as Jane's, and kept making comments about how that would never happen if we put her in charge. Hey, you know the thing that you two are happy with and the plans that you two made together? Yeah, that would never happen if I was in charge. This is like advertising that your vacuum cleaner mixes the dust with water and sprays on your windows. Like, I did not ask for that nor want that. All of that being said, there is nothing that can excuse being that awful to a child, especially if it really is the petty jealousy that I suspect. Because I haven't spoken with my father. My sister has been keeping me updated on what he's been up to. As I found out through her, the story my dad and stepmother told the rest of the family completely erases Luke's injury and the abuse charges. It insinuates that me and Jane banned them because we got annoyed with stepmother and decided to take it out on my dad as well. Because most people already dislike stepmother, explaining what actually happened that night wasn't hard. And most of the relatives that I actually wanted at the wedding have apologized and are berating my dad as well. The people that didn't believe us, as well as those saying we overreacted, have been told they are not welcome in our home anymore. Those are mostly people from my dad's generation, so I can't say I'm surprised, but the realization that they are so biased they're willing to protect a woman they hate after she hurt a child just to make my dad happy has reassured me that I don't need any of them in my life. Stepbrother is still in denial. He refuses to believe his mother could hurt a child, even with all the evidence we have. I have to admit, I understand. I love my mom too, but that doesn't mean I'd excuse his obliviousness. So he's banned too. It sucks because we were close growing up, but I don't regret it. Besides, Jane has 3 other siblings besides Luke, the other brother-in-law, a twin brother, and a younger sister. And I'm closer to them than I ever was to him. Speaking of Jane's family, they're all furious over what happened and have been extremely supportive of us. Jane's maternal family basically adopted Luke after she got custody of him, and have called frequently to make sure he's okay. We did manage to save some money with everybody we uninvited, and have decided to use it to help Jane's cousin. She lives in a different country and was previously unable to come to the wedding. So, we're paying for her plane ticket. Luke has gotten much better, and is almost completely back to being the sunny child he's always been. The split lip was shallow. It's healing slowly, but didn't require any stitches. We sat him down a few days ago and explained that my dad and stepmother wouldn't be around anymore. He really liked my dad, but understands that he and stepmother are attached at the hip. He's clearly scared of her, but we're doing our best to make him feel safe. Me and Jane have reassured him that he is family. We love him, and no one will ever change that. I'm not too worried about dad or stepmother trying to show up to the wedding, but we've alerted the venue and given them pictures just in case they try anything. Better safe than sorry. Some people brought attention to the fact that stepmother is a hypocrite for saying Luke isn't family. I agree, for obvious reasons. Her main excuse for pretty much everything she does is that she doesn't feel like my family welcomes her. Dad has been guilting me to take part in everything she plans by reminding us of that for as long as I can remember. The way he continues to make excuses for her without realizing this is basically a case of the pot calling the kettle black, except Luke actually is family, is what has made me accept that while I will always love my dad, it's not healthy or safe for me and my family to be around him anymore. It hurts to know my son won't have his only remaining bio-grandfather in his life, but he has 2 amazing step-grandpas to make up for it. For now, I'm sad, but satisfied with how things have turned out. I don't like to complain about my life. It's a mess, but a beautiful one. I love my fiancé, I love my kids, and I'm lucky enough to love my job. We're happy. I'm not letting anyone ruin that. To whoever was annoyed at my censorship, when posting on Am I the Asshole didn't work out, Jane suggested I make the writing less explicit. I'm not used to Reddit yet, so I might have overdone it a little bit. I hope this is my last update on this story, but I'll keep you posted. Again, thank you all for your love and support. Best wishes to all of you. How many of you just wiggled your mouse and hovered over the timeline to see how long this story is going on for? Oh yeah, it's one of those. Relevant comments from OP. The only reason why I know that this is the first time she's hit him is because this was the first and last time she was with the kids unsupervised. Me and Jane were around every previous time she saw Luke. She didn't want my dad to babysit him, and we'd only asked him to on a few occasions before. My sister was still living with him at the time, and has assured me that Luke was never out of her sight. I know and trust my sister enough to believe her. First time or not, I will not give her a second chance. She'll never hurt either of my kids again. OP when told to secure passwords with all vendors. We've actually had passwords with the vendors since day one. Some of the earlier ones we met actually recommended us to do it. Stepmother did contact our planner a while back saying she had our approval to talk to our vendors. She didn't let her, and we got a bit more strict with passwords after that. Commenter. So, is Stepmother serving any jail time? If she attacked a child and you guys pressed charges, I would imagine she would have to be processed and eventually serve some time for her crime. OP responds, we hope so. We're setting up a date for the arraignment. Commenter. Start a file for Stepmother, keep any and all texts, voicemails, and attempts of her communicating. Do the same with anyone who has taken her side because she could escalate, and you may need that info. Those people are flying monkeys, and she sent them to not only plead her case but report back to her the things you may have told them, so she can continue to play her victim card. You were great to have the nanny cam, but should also make sure to notify his daycare or school that she is not to be given info or access to him. Get cameras that have audio just in case she shows up at your house, and password protect all of your wedding vendors and let them know not to give her any info and to notify you if she tries. Your dad may be harmless, but she's not. OP responds, that second advice is something we've been pretty occupied with actually. This past week has been mostly about the kids and collecting evidence. But I'll definitely check out the Just No Mother-in-Law subreddit. Commenter. Did you say that if your father and stepmother apologize that you will allow them at your wedding? I wasn't quite sure what you were saying. OP responds, absolutely not. My father and stepmother are not welcome at the wedding, no matter the circumstances. They could offer me an island, and I'd still refuse to let them come back into our lives right now. I only plan to forgive anything far off in the future, and only if they apologize sincerely. Even then, they will have no access to the kids for years after that. Knowing stepmother, I highly doubt she'll ever feel sorry for what she did, so we're not counting on it anyway. Update 2 on stepmother, my family, and my kids. April 3rd, 2023, 12 days after the first update. I'll start off by probably disappointing a lot of people. We're coming to terms with the fact that it's unlikely stepmother will get anything more than a slap on the wrist. Me and Jane are discussing our next move with our lawyer, but we're still not sure how we're going to move forward. It's too early to tell anyway, so we're trying not to get ahead of ourselves any more than we already have. However, I'm relieved to announce that we're getting started on the process for a restraining order against stepmother. We're using the same evidence we gathered the week following the incident, including the nanny cam footage and pictures of Luke, and we'll focus on that for the time being. I still haven't spoken to my father. My sister is still in limited contact, but is seriously considering cutting ties with him. Because my sister is the only one on my side that still talks to him, my father keeps trying to ask her about me, and whether I've calmed down yet. According to her, he's annoyed that half of his family refuses to talk to him, but still doesn't seem to accept why. I told my sister that she doesn't need to keep playing messenger pigeon between me and our father. I never asked her to do that, and it's clearly taking a toll on her. But she insists she'll stop when it feels right. By the way, there is absolutely no doubt whether stepmother attacked Luke. Not only did Luke say it the moment we got home, but that was also confirmed by my father in a failed attempt to defend her behavior. He never tried to hide it from us. That, and the fact that he gave Luke an ice bag, is literally the only positive thing I can say about his actions. And stepmother was too busy screaming about how much of a whining brat Luke was being to deny it. To those who guessed stepmother is younger than my dad, you get an invisible cookie. She's also 5 years younger than his previous girlfriend. They got together when I was around 15. Also, stepbrother is only a month older than me. She turns 50 later this year, had him at 21, married his father a year later. Both our kids are doing mostly okay. Luke's back to running around the house in his Superman costume whenever he doesn't have anything better to do. He did have a few nightmares this past week, and has asked to sleep in our bed twice. We don't mention my father around him, and he's still seeing his counselor. Our 14-month-old son has learned 2 new words, hi and bye, and Luke is trying to teach him to say his name. Jane's sister, who moved away for college, is coming over for a couple days to celebrate her 21st birthday later this month. Luke's excited to see her, and Jane's excited to get drunk with her. Can't say I blame her. We're hoping her presence will cheer us all up. I'm not doing so good, and neither is Jane. She's usually the kind of person who tries to keep her negative emotions to herself, but she cried herself to sleep almost every night the week it happened. It breaks my heart to see her like that, and I can't help but feel like this is my fault. There's a part of me trying to tell me I had no way of knowing stepmother would do anything like that. But that doesn't really change anything. I allowed my father near my kids unsupervised, even though I knew she'd probably tag along. This is the guiltiest I've ever felt, and I don't think I'll ever forgive myself. Jane has been improving lately, and is trying to convince me to see a therapist. I've never really done that before, apart from a psychiatrist when I was younger. But now feels like a good time to give it a try. I was surprised by a few messages this week from people telling me to forgive my father and stepmother, as well as re-invite them to the wedding. That's not happening. In fact, I'm not willing to ever forgive stepmother, and my dad has now degraded to a huge maybe. But I will never understand or forget what she did. Also, though the wedding is the last thing on our minds right now, we're not postponing it. We considered rescheduling, but the date we'd settled on is pretty much the only one that works for our guests. We have passwords with all our vendors and gave them all clear instructions not to talk to anyone but us. Jane's family is bigger and closer to each other, which is why they're more involved in the wedding than mine. But I do have family participating. My sister is one of the bridesmaids, 2 of my cousins are groomsmen, and my mom is walking down the aisle with the wedding party. Going through all of this with Jane has made me understand even more just how much I love this woman. I couldn't ask for a better partner to start a family with, and I have no idea what I'd do without her. This didn't tear us apart, and I couldn't be more thankful. I probably won't make any more updates until after the wedding, unless something big happens. In the meantime, as always, best wishes to all of you. Update 3, April 18th, 2023, 15 days after the second update. I saw my father and stepmother for the first time since she attacked my child. I didn't plan on updating again before the wedding, but something pretty huge happened. The good news is we got the restraining order. The bad news is me and Jane had to see both stepmother and my father at the court hearing. This was our first time seeing them since we kicked them out of our house over a month ago, and neither of us were looking forward to it. We left the kids with Jane's brother and sister-in-law, so at least Luke didn't have to see them. The hearing itself went a lot quicker than I expected. I'll give credit where it's due. My father was, at the very least, smart enough to understand there was no way they were winning this. There was a lot of evidence against them. Not only did we have the nanny cam footage and Luke's pictures and medical record, but my sister had also gathered every text and email stepmother had sent her and the family about what happened. And stepmother hates speaking on the phone. So there were a lot of those. They didn't even bother to get an attorney for the hearing. The judge granted us a protection order against stepmother. She's not allowed within 500 feet of us or our property anymore. We're changing all our locks this week, and I'm thinking about changing my phone number as well. I have to admit, the moment we left the courthouse was the safest I'd felt since the whole ordeal started. Jane was close to tearing up with joy when we got to the car. We picked up the kids and went to McDonald's with brother-in-law and his family to celebrate. Hours later, my father called me. The order doesn't extend to him, so he can still do that. Jane and the kids were in bed, so I answered. I didn't expect him to change his mind and apologize all of a sudden, but decided to give him one last chance. He tried to start some awkward small talk, but I told him to get to the point. He asked me if the order was truly necessary. I stated very clearly that stepmother was never coming near Jane or my children again, and that I was glad I had a restraining order to formalize that. Every excuse he had for stepmother was pretty easy to shut down. But she only hit him once! Yep, and that's good enough for me. The kids need their grandma. She's not their grandma. Mom is. She's my wife! You need to respect her! She attacked Luke. She disrespected my family in my own house. I don't owe her anything. Least of all, my respect. He then went on a rant about family, how much of a godsend stepmother was and everything she'd done for me and my sister since she came into our lives. I replied by listing every time I could remember about her lying, overstepping a boundary, or acting unhinged around me, my family, or my sister. I brought up both my adult life and my youth. Examples included her attempts to hijack most of our milestones. Recently, our wedding plans, our son's birth, Jane's baby shower, and my sister's college graduation. Her obsession with the idea of a perfect family, and her disgusting attitude towards Luke. I also made sure to mention her habits of going through mine and my sister's stuff when we were younger. It's trivial compared to everything else, but this behavior went on until my sister moved out of their house, only 3 months ago. We're pretty sure she found out about Jane's wedding dress appointments by reading my sister's planner while she wasn't home, for instance. Some of the memories I mentioned are long and hard to explain, but they did cement the fact that stepmother means nothing to me. He tried to go with the whole "she doesn't feel included" excuse again, but I shut him up. I said he'd had the opportunity to protect his grandchildren, but had chosen his monster of a wife instead, and that's enough for me to want nothing to do with him. I hung up without saying goodbye. My sister told me he called her afterwards, and she told him she was going no contact with him as well. I think we're both starting to accept our father won't change. It sucks, but he's made his priorities clear, and his children and grandkids aren't among them. For now, that's it. Now that they're fresh in my mind, I'm thinking about sharing some of the stories I reminded my father of, but that's gonna take a while. Until then, as always, best wishes to all of you. Relevant comments. Commenter. But she only hit him once. Would have ended the phone call for me. OP responds, I almost hung up on him when he said that. The only reason I didn't was because I knew I wasn't going to talk to him again anytime soon. And I still had a lot to say. Commenter. I'm curious how your stepbrother is handling all of this. Like, the restraining order isn't something you can just push away. A judge stated that what his mother did was so terrible she needed to stay away from those children. It just feels like something you can't stick your head in the sand and claim that you could never believe that your mother could hurt someone like that. OP responds, I haven't spoken to him since the days before the restraining order, and he hasn't tried to contact me or my sister. He was still in denial last time we talked, but seemed a bit doubtful. To be honest, I think he's the only one who isn't a complete lost cause and still has a slight chance of coming around. He's still banned, but I might be willing to talk with him about this whole thing. Commenter. Holy hell, if you're comfortable sharing, I know many of us would want to hear those hijacking stories. Hope the kids don't have too terribly long impact on their lives from this, especially the preschooler. OP responds, Luke hasn't mentioned her in a while. I doubt he was affected by this, but I think he understands everything is okay now. Our baby is barely a year old, and if it's up to me, he won't even know she exists until he's grown. I'll definitely share some of the stories as soon as I can bring myself to write them down. Commenter. It's crazy how the court gave your dad a chance not giving him the protection order, and you gave him a chance to explain on the phone, and he still managed to screw up. You guys gave so many chances, and your dad fails to see that stepmother is a bad person. Your dad doesn't seem like he's going to change, and until he does somehow, stop giving him more chances. OP responds, that was his last chance and he blew it. If he ever comes around, and that's a big if, it'll still take me a long time to allow him back into our lives. Update 4, July 13th, 2023, 3 months after the third update. StepMonster is gone, and I think it's for good. After being engaged for over 2 years, me and Jane finally got married last Saturday. We're still getting used to calling each other husband and wife, but we'll get there. Hopefully. The wedding was awesome, the kids had fun, our extended families finally met, and we danced so much I could barely stand the next day. Luke took his ring bearer duties seriously and held my son's hand as they walked down the aisle. Besides my aunt getting shit-faced and being let out on a wheelchair, which I already thought would happen anyway, everything went according to plan. It's been 4 months since we got the restraining order against stepmother. Things have been mostly quiet, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Except completely quiet, but we can't always get what we want. I never really worried about stepmother showing up at the wedding, especially after the restraining order. It's literally illegal for her to come close to us. and we made it very clear that if she tried, we'd call the cops right away. My friend still warned me to take safety measures, most of which I did. Stepmother didn't show up, of course, but I'm a strong believer that any money spent on security is well spent, so no regrets on that end. My stepbrother and I wished each other happy birthdays, and he also texted Jane on hers back in June. That's the only contact we've had during these months. He knows that the door is still open if he wants to apologize. My dad has given up on trying to reach me. We haven't spoken since April. He's still trying to talk to my sister, for some reason, but she's ignoring him. A few days after she went no contact with him, they had a huge fight over the phone about stepmother's treatment of us over the years. Insults were thrown, sore subjects were brought up, and most importantly, my father took stepmother's side on almost everything. My sister called me crying afterwards. I wanted to call him and yell at him, but she told me not to. She's doing okay now. She hasn't blocked him, but doesn't take his calls or answer his texts. She's only gotten 3. A weak apology, one on my birthday back in May, and a long rant after neither of us wished him a happy Father's Day. After all, despite our differences, he's still our father. He's not wrong. I love my father, and I always will, but I can't be around him anymore. While I've closed that door, I'm not locking it just yet. He knows what he needs to do if he wants his family back. I don't think he'll do it, but if there's the slightest chance he might, I'll consider opening the door an inch or two. This is my wife's suggestion. I'm a lot less optimistic than she is, but maybe it's important to hold on to that hope. She hasn't forgiven him though, or stepmother. Jane has always been very protective of Luke, so it was no surprise that this disaster shook her. A part of me was scared she'd blame me, but she called me a dumbass when I told her that. I've been in therapy for a few months and it's helped a lot more than I thought it would. I've realized stepmother's behavior around me growing up was a lot worse than I always thought. And it's great to finally be able to get my feelings off my chest. Right now, I'm more than happy. I just married the most amazing woman ever, and I have the family I always dreamed of. None of us are perfect, but I never thought life would be this great to me. I'll stick around. Reddit is a lot more fun than I expected, but I can sleep peacefully now, so it's safe to say that this will be my last update on this. Thank you all for the kindness and advices you gave me these months. I could never expect the support I got from you guys, and I can't begin to describe how helpful it was. Seriously, thank you all. Edit, 3 days later. Okay, I updated too soon. I didn't want to write another post, so I'll just add this here. My stepbrother called me earlier today. Apparently, he and stepmother had a fight, and he wants to meet up. I agreed as long as it was just the two of us. We're meeting up for coffee on Wednesday. I have no idea what to expect, but even if he does apologize, I need to know he understands how and why he let us down. New update. Update 5, the final update, December 20th, 2023, 5 months after the 4th update. Hey guys, I've been away from Reddit for a few months due to some stuff at work, but a lot of people have been messaging me about my stepbrother. So I wanted to give you a small update. I've been busy and tired these days, so I might gloss over some details. Feel free to ask me anything. I first met my stepbrother for coffee back in August. He'd had a fight with stepmother and the restraining order was brought up. She'd lied to him about some details, accusing Luke of picking on the baby, bad-mouthing Jane, and more. But this time, he managed to force her to tell him the truth. My stepbrother started to reevaluate his relationship with his mother after talking to his therapist and his friends about it, as well as the way she'd raised him. He finally accepted I wasn't exaggerating about what she did to Luke. He wanted to talk to me back in June, but didn't want to distract me and Jane from the wedding. That's actually thoughtful. Me and my stepbrother spent the last 4 months working on rebuilding our relationship. We've been meeting for coffee or lunch and discussing his mother and what she did to our lives and my kids. Jane started joining us in October, and the kids saw him again for the first time 2 weeks ago. Things were awkward between us for a while, but we're good now. He's also making amends with my sister. In early November, he completely cut contact with stepmother. Jane and the kids are doing amazing. Luke turned 5 in September, and our baby will be 2. Holy crap. In early February. We're spending the holidays with Jane's family in Brazil. Brazil mentioned, where are my Brazilians at? I know you guys get hyped as hell when Brazil gets mentioned. While my stepbrother stays with his girlfriend. Things are great. That's all. I'm signing off for now. I'll let you know if anything happens. Happy holidays, everyone. Best of wishes to you all. At some point, it's gotta cross your mind, maybe it's not everyone who's turning against me, maybe it is me. Like, you're both your kids, your biological kids, your son and your daughter turning against you and telling you, flat out, that, hey, growing up with stepmother fucking sucked, dude. This was hell. This was not the fairy tale you remember it as. This was not fun. And you are just excusing this behavior nonstop and not listening to any of us. And because of that, we don't have an interest in this relationship. And the father's just sitting there like, well, obviously, they're just being overdramatic and reacting poorly to this. I'll just wait till they cool off a little bit. But, they never do. There's still silence. I wonder if it eats at him. Then a few months later, your wife's kid cuts her off. Is he overreacting too? Or maybe you guys are in the wrong. You gotta start asking those questions at some point, right? It was only one time, he says. Yeah, but if I hit you in the shins with an aluminum bat and didn't apologize, would you be talking to me? Oh, but it was just one time. You're overreacting. I'm gonna wait until you simmer down. Whoa, don't be going and disrespecting my aluminum bat like that. You have any idea how much we've been through? How many shins we've hit? How many kneecaps we've inverted? Come on now, you can't just diss my aluminum bat like that. You need to respect it. Aluminum bats aside though, you did this to yourself. The father is who I'm speaking to. You allowed your wife to twist the events of what happened and turn the family against your son and try to get them to boycott their wedding. And you watched her strike a 4-year-old. Oh, but it was just one time. Yeah, and it's only going to be one time. That's it. That's the side you've chosen. I will say good on the stepbrother for taking the steps necessary to try to rebuild and taking it at the pace of what OP was comfortable with. Speaking from unfortunate experience here, it sucks when someone you trust feeds you a amalgamized version of events that have been malformed and bastardized to hit their specific criteria for what makes them the victim. And yeah, why would they lie to you? You're gonna side with them. But upon finding out that those were lies, and he was fed a bastardized version of the truth, the stepbrother did right. And I gotta give him credit for it. It's a shame the dad's a lost cause in this situation, or at least it very much seems that way, but at least the stepbrother opened his eyes and walked away. That's pretty cool. Same goes for it sounds like most of the family. But I still really can't understand how you could be in a situation where all 3 kids cut you guys out of your lives and you're like, no, it's not us, it's them. They're the problem, obviously. Uh-huh. Posted to UhOhConsequences by Intrepid Basil 442. Posted from r/bestof. The best of post was collected by Latnax. The original OP is Vivian Archer. Originally posted to r/anti-work. October 1st, 2021. Delivery driver quits, gets fired, and then harassed by his boss. I've spent the last 3 years delivering pizza for one of the mega chain companies, and I'm finally fucking done. Minimum wage, of course, and a flat rate delivery fee paid to the driver of $1.50. They charge you $4 for delivery. We get $1.50 of it. Most days, there's nothing but a single driver and a manager trying to run a place doing 30-plus pizzas per hour, from 11 a.m. to midnight. Closing and cleanup takes until a minimum of 2 a.m., and I've had days where I came home past 4 a.m. Customers screaming, ranting, canceling orders all day long. Orders flooding in nonstop, all day and night. It's like living in a constant panic attack. Always stressed, always a dozen things that still need doing, and a dozen other things that nobody did. At the beginning of COVID, this store had about 16 drivers on staff. Barely adequately covered with those, but doable. Gradually lost about 2 per month to where we are now. Gigantic delivery area that they refuse to contract at all. That can't be covered by anything less than 6 drivers. Double that when busy, which we are. Non-stop. We've had 2 drivers all summer, which is totally insane considering we're open 7 days, 13 hours per day, until a month ago. Now, they have none. I've been working an average of 70 hours per week, some weeks over 90, averaging over 700 miles per week on my car. Tips have gone to shit. Easily half of people don't even tip at all anymore. In the beginning of COVID, a 70-hour week was easily over $1,000 in my pocket. Since the beginning of this year, it's gradually dropped to maybe $500 max. And I'm just totally exhausted and stressed the fuck out. Non-stop. They won't raise the wage. Franchise owner swears people are just lazy and frequently insists that all its current employees are just lazy whiners. So, last night, 20 deliveries on the board, and I'm the only driver. Make line is backed up at least 45 minutes. Walk-in customers mostly walking out when they come in to order and see what's going on. He's working the counter for his once-per-month shift, when he mostly just screams and gets in the way, lying to customers, telling them it'll be 15 minutes for their order when we're at a minimum of an hour. And he decides, I'm not moving fast enough. In front of a dozen customers, all standing in the front, pissed, waiting for their extremely late food. Owner, you need to goddamn run with those deliveries! People are hungry! Lazy fuck. Had it. Done. No more. Enough. Dropped all the food I was carrying in the middle of the floor, went out back, cashed myself out, took my lock off my locker, emptied my stuff, went out front, brought in the stupid company car topper, and tossed it into the pile of food on the floor and just left. No idea what he was screaming while it happened. Don't care. So, finally and totally done with his and every other boss out there who acts like this and runs a business like this. It's not a business when they think this is how to run things. It's some kind of ego-stroking, half-assed hobby, and I ain't here for it anymore. On the plus side, I slept 12 hours last night for the first time in forever, and feel amazing as hell today. It's like a huge lump of stress, rage, and hatred and panic has just evaporated inside. Highly recommended to all. Fucking quit. Walk on the bastard. Walk out. Move on. Quit. Do it. They deserve it. Editor's note, a couple of updates edited in the post by OP. The day after the update, the owner just texted wanting to know if I was coming in tonight. Friday night. Dude, it's Friday and you're late already. You coming? I got no drivers here and already over 20 deliveries sitting here. What the fuck? Just ignore or be a douche. Trying to decide. I definitely am never going back. Update to the day after. I'll wait and post the texts if they actually get good, but so far they're almost just the repeats of, you coming in or not? Until the last one, below. It's not as good as one would hope for. Until, that is, the latest text. Up to 8 now. I'm gonna fucking sue you for ruining my business and job abandonment. Don't know how that works, but I'm just high enough now to have responded. Hope your lawyer is cheap because I worked for you, cheap bastard. So you know I'm fucking broke. Free advice, don't sue poor people. We ain't got shit. Now, apparently, I'm fired. Woe is me. Sunday update. So, I'm fired, even though I quit. Don't care, but definitely filing for unemployment insurance since he was dumb enough to fire me via text after walking out. Can't wait for his freakout when they send through the paperwork for that. However, so I drove by this morning, thinking I'll be decent and return my uniform shirts and whatnot, try to act like an adult or whatever, and he's closed today. Sign on the door, handwritten, that simply says, closed today due to lack of staff. Texted around to my former coworkers, and apparently his rage fits all night Friday and all day and night Saturday cost him 2 of his insiders and shift runners. There were only 4 left as it was. And the other, daytime driver, told him to go fuck himself and walked out as well midday Saturday. Dude is self-destructing, I guess, and doesn't seem to care if he torpedoes his business. Now he has absolutely no drivers and only his store GM and an insider, a 17-year-old who only works 10 hours a week after school, left. Oh well, left my uniform shirts in the dumpster around the corner. Update. And how's your Thursday night going, Reddit? Original post here for those who want the whole story, but the too long didn't read is that I walked out on a pizza delivery franchise owner last week when he called me a lazy fuck. Since COVID began, we had shrunk from 15 to 16 delivery drivers down to 2 to 3 for the whole of last summer, and I was overworked, burned out, pissed off, and just not making shit anymore. So, no more taking shit. This is gonna be long. The too long didn't read is he nearly gets himself arrested because he won't accept that I quit. So, knock on my door today, and I answer it to my former boss. Not happy about that, as I seriously dislike people just showing up at my house uninvited. Okay, what the fuck? So, ex-boss. So now that you've had some time, are you ready to grow up and be a man and come back to work? Friday tomorrow, and I need my people. Me? What the fuck did you just say? Grow up and be a man? I quit. We're done. Go away. I don't have anything to say to you. I start to go inside, but he launches into an unbelievable rant about being closed half this week and that it's all my fault. It seems the rest of the crew followed me out, and all he had left is his general manager. He's losing money, and how is he supposed to staff a store open 100 hours a week with just him and his general manager? And it's my fault for quitting. He's spending so much in DoorDash fees sending out deliveries that he's gonna go broke any minute now. Just slack-jawed disbelief. I can't believe this Nimrod won't leave me alone. He's let his staff dwindle from nearly 30 employees pre-COVID down to the last half dozen or so. And we all bailed finally as well. And this is my fault? Me, I don't give a fuck. I'm not interested. I don't care. I don't know how else to tell you. Why are you here? I'm not going to work for you. Ever. For any reason. Go away. You're just a child and a fucking coward. Get back to work. I need you there. Go fuck yourself and get off my property. I slam the door, head inside. He's on my front porch, banging on the door like a goddamn maniac. My dogs are losing their shit. He's screaming and ranting at the top of his lungs, threatening to sue me for job abandonment, for ruining him and bankrupting him. How it's my fault his kids are gonna starve and be homeless. My neighbors are starting to hear him. It's a beautiful day out and everybody has their windows open, so it's kinda hard not to hear him. Finally, I've had enough listening to this. The poor nice old guy across the street is standing on his lawn with his next door neighbor, and they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on over here. He starts to leave, at least, finally. Because I'm a petty child, as he walks away ranting, I pop the door open real quick and stick my head out and yell, "Your pizza sucks and you suck if you think one driver can save your shit business. Hope you go bankrupt so I can laugh at you while panhandling on the street corner in a month, you cheap asshole." And, maybe wasn't the best idea. I slammed the door shut real quick. He ran back up, pounded on the door, and started screaming some more. Probably another good 20 minutes of his noise and bullshit. My neighbor actually went back inside and called me. I love Bill, he's a great guy. I told him what's happening, and he just laughed his ass off. Asked if he should maybe call the police over the domestic disturbance going on at my house. I won't say I told him to do it, but I certainly didn't tell him not to. So, my former boss is standing on my front lawn right now. Blue lights from 3 police cruisers are flashing among the houses as the sun sets on a lovely New England day. I'm sure he won't get arrested, although I'd love to see it. But my oh my, he certainly seems all agitated. The poor cops look bored, frankly. They only talked to me for a few minutes, and I told them he's just an ex-boss that won't accept that I fucking quit. They didn't seem all that amused. Oh well. Not my problem. Call one of my former coworkers, one of the ones who has just quit in the week since I've been gone, and it seems that Xbox was just at his house and was yelling at him also. Fucking hell, what a douche. I'm just sitting on my deck around the side of the house watching my ex-boss as he sheepishly tries to explain harassing an ex-employee at his home to the police. Peaceful, stress-free, and well-rested after quitting his shit job. Maybe I should wave at him. Update. So, as a post below suggested, I've actually just texted a few other coworkers who have also recently quit. So far, 2 others have responded saying this guy showed up at their house. One just told him to fuck off, slammed the door in his face, and ignored him, and the other wasn't home. But his mother answered and tried giving her shit over her kid quitting. Haven't yet heard back from anybody else, but yeah, looks like I'll be herding a few of us together to an attorney. They're all down for it. This is fucked up. Dude can't be bothered to hire anybody for months, worked his staff to death, demeans them until they walk out, and then goes to their house to be even more of an ass. Yeah, this is getting fun now for a petty prick with too much time on his hands. A keen sense of fuck with me and find out, and a definite plan to call more than a few attorneys in the AM. Shit just got good. So the OP to this story's account has actually been deleted, and I can only assume that it could potentially be at the advice of their attorney. At least that's what I like to believe. It's kind of crazy how foreign the concept of treating your employees with like dignity and respect and actually making sure that they're happy and being loyal to them actually encourages them to do the same for your company. But no, instead just call them lazy and pay them minimum wage and complain when they quit because they can't afford their basic shit. I know I've probably told this story numerous times over the course of this channel, but in my first job, I was being paid $7.26 an hour, 1 penny above minimum wage so that way they could charge me for a uniform. Because Idaho law stated that if you were being paid minimum wage, you couldn't charge your employees a uniform cost. So what a fun little workaround, huh? Every paycheck or so I would get hit with a $15 charge for a hat and t-shirt that I never got. But I hated working for that place. They had me doing grill work, fryer work, food prep, garbage and recycling, freezer maintenance, inventory, maintenance and care on 16 different froyo machines, making sure the toppings in the froyo corner was stocked up, and occasionally cash register. I was doing a lot of work on any given day for making $7.26 an hour. And when the opportunity came for me to work behind a desk at a programming internship for $12 an hour on a DoD contract, you bet your ass I jumped to that in a fucking heartbeat. I gave them a month advance, and I told them in person, like, hey, on this day, I'm not going to be here anymore. 2 weeks in, I sent a text message to them directly. Just as a reminder, my internship starts on this day. I will not be coming in anymore. On my final day, the owner's father comes up to me. He's like, you know what, Oz? I really think that you should continue working here on the weekends because we could really use the additional staff. You could just tell them that, on weekends you have to make sure that you have time to come and help this company that you're really invested in. And all I could think of is, why would I be invested in a company that's going to make me work twice as much my internship and pay me half the amount? Who the fuck would ever be invested in a company like that? I didn't tell him this, but I just gave him a nod and go, I'll see what I can do. And I was gone. And they just sent me a text message, hey, are you coming into work next week? I said, no. I've told you numerous times that I'm not going to be coming into work next week. Told you that was my last day. I'm starting my internship. Later. That was also the same boss that was cheating on his wife with a 17-year-old that he groomed, and the moment she turned 18, started sleeping with her and got an apartment with her and made her drop out of college. That place was a fucking train wreck. I had to babysit his kids as they were actively trying to play with the deep fryer, while he was literally the next room over being handsy with an 18-year-old. I was 16. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't really have a voice to speak out on it, so it's just kind of a god fucking damn it. That place was a goddamn nightmare. I've got an important question to pose to you all in the outro today. Before I get into specifics, this is definitely just kind of a prototype idea, and the end result would still mean that you would get the same style of content. So if you're an audio-only listener, you wouldn't notice any changes, but if you enjoy the visuals, there would definitely be a major change. I've been starting to explore the idea of potentially, and this is very big on the potential aspect, of slowly switching over to doing more facecam style content. This would still be several months out, and I have no idea if I would even go through with this, especially if the audience perception isn't proper, but this would also be easier to do than a VTuber setup, and this would be something that I very much can accomplish, and I recently have been less disgusted with myself on camera, which is why I'm even considering this in the first place. If I remember to, I'm going to be putting up a, pinned comment that'll link to a YouTube poll, so that way you guys will vote between yes, no, and I don't really care either way as long as I get Oz content. This has been an idea I've been kind of toying with and exploring for a bit, and I figured I may as well just pose the question to you guys, because this could very well lead to the channel's future growth and be a massive stepping stone in the production quality content, so let me know. But of course, don't forget to use code ODDS at checkout with GamerSupps, and if I do actually end up going forward with this, it might actually very well be the support you guys have given me through GamerSupps is what'll allow me to make this massive change in setup. So, yeah. Every purchase made from GamerSupps using code ODDS directly supports not just me, but the channel. And with that, I'll catch you all next time.